Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another segment of Asaph Cafe. I am your host, Asaph Cafe, and we just celebrated our 200th Asaph Cafe, so this is 201. I wanted the TV audience to know.
Yep.
And so we have squeezed ourselves on a Neil Diamond album cover called Moods.
Yep.
Because Neil Diamond is, of course, one of Emmett's favorite singers. Of course, he's one of the favorite singers of the whole world.
Yep.
And stuff like that. So immediately on my immediate left, affectionately our aging rocker Emmett. You want to start us off?
Yes.
Emmett?
Heavenly Father, bless our time together and our cola that we are sharing in Jesus' name.
I'm in total agreement. Let's play a tune by Neil Diamond.
Well, could I start off, explain how I got involved with Neil Diamond's music?
Go ahead.
Well, this would have been good gravy. Christmas 1985. Yes. Or was it Christmas 84? No, I believe 85. A relative had come up to visit, here in Missoula, and I was still living with my parents. I was 17 at the time, going on 18. She knew I loved easy listening. I mean, she hated easy listening, my relative. Despised. But she knew I enjoyed it because, I would always play Easy 102. Easy 102 KUEZ FM Missoula 102.5. It's now the point. It was always, the music Missoula relaxes to Easy 102. And I think they even played Neil Diamond.
Okay.
I did not know it at the time, but that would have been my first exposure to Neil Diamond, or even instrumentals, or even some other songs. But my relative, for Christmas, sent me this, and it was under the Christmas tree. I didn't open it till Christmas Day. I was really to do it. But she said, "Dear Emmett, this is so sickening, so horrible, so completely nauseating that I knew you'd probably enjoy it." And I wondered if it's some sort of gross toy or whatever. What is this? And I kept looking at this until Christmas Day. Emmett, dear Emmett, this is so sickening, so horrible, so completely nauseating that I knew you'd probably enjoy it. Well, Christmas morning, opening up the presents, opened it up. It was a Neil Diamond tape.
Okay.
She had gotten at a yard sale, and it was the Moods album.
Okay.
It wasn't the record. I have the record. So I thought, well, what's this like? So I put in my tape recorder where to listen to everything. I'll put it, and it was Neil Diamond. It wasn't this song, but I was hooked ever since. I loved it. I didn't know what to think, but the first song on that particular tape, I think they rearranged it, from the Moods album from like 1968 or so, because this is an old album, or 70, maybe 1970. I'd have to check at home. The first song on that tape was a really fun one called Porcupine Pie.
I don't know that one.
Sometimes Neil Diamond, especially in the old days, would write funny songs.
Okay.
He would write beautiful, haunting songs, or songs like this, definitely. Yes, definitely. Sweet Caroline, bum, 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 good times never felt so good. Oh, good. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Porcupine Pie was just a silly song that made no sense, and I loved it. It was about food. Porcupine pie, porcupine pie, porcupine pie, it's just wonderful, or something or another. But it may sound kind of strange, but you have to eat it with love so your hand will turn green. Dun, 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 something similar. And then I said, I have room for dessert, chicken ripple ice cream. I mean, porcupine pie, it waves its way through my dreams. I know it may sound kind of strange, but you've got to eat it with love so your hand will turn. It was on the Moods album. Okay. It's a very rare song of his, but I loved it. It's like porcupine pie, that in a bowl like this. Porcupine meat, crust pie, but you have to eat it with love so your hand will turn green. I loved it. Cool. That is so sweet.
I'm playing this way right now.
Yeah. But also, he could make some very haunting songs, as you well know.
Yeah.
Like on that same album, he wrote some easy listening piece or something just beautiful. and he wrote the sweetest song called, oh, it's called something,
I think this is one of his songs.
yeah, let's see, something or another. Oh yeah, Morningside.
Yeah.
Or Morningtide. I think it's like, Morningside, the old man died, and no one cried. He surely died alone, and something or another. And he wrote this beautiful stone table that the children would love and venerate and put their, and the only inscription on his tombstone or on this table was, "For my children." Oh, it was a beautiful, haunting song.
Yeah, this song I played just now is a beautiful song too. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah. So it was amazing.
Love on the Rocks, I think is the name of it.
Yeah, he could write beautiful songs like Porcupine Pie, which are fun, and then songs to make you cry, and things in between we'll never forget, like Sweet Caroline or.
What about his movies? Did you like his movies?
You know, I never saw his movies, but I have the soundtrack to that one, The Jazz Singer. I have the soundtrack.
Well,
It was
let's talk
wonderful.
about The Jazz Singer. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll tell you the synopsis of that. You never saw the movie, right?
No, but I have the soundtrack. I loved it.
Neil Diamond's character, he's a Jewish cantor singer from the church, and his father was a cantor. So his father wanted the son to follow in the footsteps, but the son wanted to sing rock and roll music. That's just a basic plot line. Like, you know, there's always someone in the church, and there's one lone guy that wants to get out there and do secular music, right? And it doesn't sit well with the family. So even in The Jazz Singer, his father wanted him to be a cantor. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It's beautiful music. But he wanted to sing the rock and roll music. So he leaves his father, and he was married to a Jewish lady, you know, Jewish family. Nothing wrong with that. And that didn't sit well with her either. She didn't want to follow her husband, you know, singing a rock and roll music. So they kind of separated, but he went to follow his dream. And he soars, you know, he gets on top of the world, right? He's like just doing hit records and doing all these major concerts in the theater, but he was unhappy because his father wasn't in support of it. So at the height of his career, he walks away from his success, his concerts and everything. He goes back to the church and he's singing all this music and everything. And then, if I remember correctly, he was becoming unhappy again. You know, he gave up everything. So when he decides to go back the second time, it was harder for him to make the comeback because nobody, like the agents, didn't trust him because he had gotten on top and walked away. They wanted to make sure he wasn't going to do that again. But around the end of the movie, I think he loses his wife because she just didn't want that lifestyle, which is nothing wrong with it. And he ends up dating his manager, who was a lady manager. And the movie has a happy ending because when he gets back on top the second time, his father goes toward the end of the movie. His father has his cantor outfit on, and he goes to the concert of one of his sons. I mean, his son, to see what that was like. And even though that might not have been his father's thing, it was his son on that concert stage. So the father went to one of those rock and roll concerts to see his son.
Wonderful.
And that was basically what the movie was about. Now, there were other more things in it, but I'm just giving it kind of a flyover synopsis. But it was quite a movie. Yeah,
they had a good song that he did that I heard that, I guess that's the reason I got the album over at Ear Candy, because I love the song Coming to America. You know, dun dun dun, they're on the plane, they're coming to America, dun dun dun. Nice song. On the plane, they're coming to America. Just about immigrants who want a better life. Legal immigrants. Not trying to get into politics, but legal immigrants, not illegal. I'm not talking...
Something like that, yeah. That's all I know on that.
But that's what I thought. I thought that was really nice. That was really nice. He even had some tributes to Christianity, which were very reverent, very good, that I really liked.
Well, he was a very positive entertainer. You know what I mean? He just sang.
Very good, easy listening music.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard, let's see, Father Love, let's see, Brother Love's Traveling Salvation Show?
I'm not familiar with that. Was that one of his concerts?
No, it was a song of his he had on record.
Okay, I guess I don't know.
It was one heck And I have it live on one of the album backdrops. We're going to choose a Neil Diamond hits live. Neil Diamond's, it's the Essential Neil Diamond.
Okay.
Wonderful album. I'm not plugging products, but I have that at home.
Yeah.
A 2-disc set, but it's a very reverent, but very awesome kind of danceable, just wonderful song about an evangelical preacher who has an outdoor revival meeting, and it's called Brother Love, and is traveling salvation show, and just on the boat or something, and Furt's eyes black as coal, and when he looks at space every year across the place, every year on the place is on him. Okay. Starting slow like a strong earthquake, and then he lets go. Half the valley shakes. Says love, love's traveling salvation shall bring the old ladies, grab the old ladies. Everyone goes, Brother Love shows. Everyone, brothers and sisters.
Okay.
Everyone. Rich and poor, whatever, we are all saved by God's grace. We are God's children all. And he was sort of, because if your brother is having a hard time, just reach out to him, reach out your hand and say, this is what they're for. And if you're having a hard time, you have a heartache and a pain, and you don't know where to turn, then reach out to the good man or Lord above, because that's what he's there for. And it's just reverent about religion, and that basically Christianity is a good thing. And I was just applauding every time I hear that song. I just applaud. He's very reverent to Christianity and doesn't mind it at all.
Well, I didn't see anything blasphemous about the jazz singer.
No, nothing. Oh, nothing at all. That's one of my favorite songs of all time, is Brother Love's Traveling Salvation Show. Okay. Because it's religious as well as just a good song.
Okay, cool.
And also, it's interesting, he gets inspired, if you ever have any of his albums at home, he gets inspired by movies, and if he's moved by a movie, he'll sing about it. Like, he loved the movie E.T. Remember in the 80s, E.T., the extraterrestrial?
Yeah.
Well, he wrote a song about it. It was called Heartlight.
I think I remember that. That was based on E.T.?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Well, remember, if you follow the whole song, it's like, I knew what it was. It didn't say, he didn't say, by the way, this song is based on E.T., but it was loosely based. It was like, he's looking for a home, because home is the most excellent place.
I've heard that song.
Yeah, turn on your heart light, like E.T. would do. Make it happy, glow in the middle of a young boy's dream. Something don't wake me up too soon.
I did not know that was based on that.
Yeah.
Let's play the theme.
Yeah, gonna take a ride across the moon, you and me. And I just knew, because I've seen E.T. so many times. That's what it was about. E.T. was lost, needed a home. He had a heart light in his chest, The young boy, Elliot, and E.T. would ride across the moon. It was in a young boy's dream. Now, it wasn't exactly the plot, but obviously it was inspired.
Let's see if I'm trying to pick that up.
Yeah.
See,
And it was written about the year that E.T. was released or a year afterwards. That album because I have the Heartlight album that what's his name, Neil Diamond made, and it was he made an album called Heartlight with some other songs.
Something like that.
It was made in 1983, 84, or 82, and I just knew at that time, if he had made it in 1970, that'd have been different. But he saw the movie and was inspired to write a song about it. Even in 1977, do you know what? He was inspired in one of his, because I've gotten a lot of his old albums, like from Ear Candy, other places.
Uh-huh.
He wrote a song based on Star Wars.
I didn't know that either.
In 1977, one of his albums, I can't remember which one, he had a song called Saber Dance. Saber dance, the light flashes, there is romance. Saber dance, not lightsaber dance.
That would not be the classical saber dancing, right?
Right, it wasn't the classical saber dance. Well, what is the classical saber dance? How does that go?
It goes something like this.
No, it wasn't that.
Something like that.
This was Sa-da-dun, saber dance, their light flashes, all romance, saber. It was lightsaber dance.
Okay.
Because remember, the first Star Wars had lightsabers, so he wrote a song not with that, not that way.
Okay.
But saber dance, kind of an orchestra way, those light flashes. I can't remember the whole song. And something romance, you know,
But
when
it was called saber dance, it was based on something else, is what you're saying?
it was based on Star Wars, loosely based on Star Wars.
Okay, I didn't know that either.
Well, it was made in 1977, and you know how lightsabers flash? A saber dance. He didn't want to give it away, say lightsaber dance.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm completely wrong. But
I don't know.
But then there was no romance, because remember when Luke and Leia, you know, in Star Wars, you know, did that thing across the where they hooked her in, or made that daring escape. He thought there might have been romance. Say lightsaber dance. Think lightsaber dance.
Okay.
It was released in 1977. I knew, hey, that's based on Star Wars. He wasn't singing, I love Star Wars, I was inspired. He wasn't, he doesn't write it that much. He has a soul of a poet.
Okay.
So he's not going to say, by the way, this is a song I wrote because I was inspired by Star Wars.
Okay.
I saw Star Wars, I paid the money, I saw the lightsabers, I was inspired, I had leftover popcorn from the
So they didn't like use any of the music from the Star Wars
Right.
movie or anything? Okay. Just
Same
use
with
the title,
same with Heartlight. He didn't say I was inspired by E.T. I
got
cried, but I had leftover popcorn. He's not like that. He's very poetic in his songs. He's not literal. He doesn't go A B C. That's one reason I love his songs.
Well, you know he's going to retire eventually after 50
Yes.
years of concerts. That's a lot of work.
It is.
50 years?
Because I was born in 1967.
Okay.
I'll
so
be 51 this year.
So it was probably in the 70s when you really got familiar with him then, I would say, huh?
No, I didn't even know his work in the 70s.
Okay, when did you, do you remember what year roughly when you started getting familiar with his work?
Like I said, 1985, Christmas Day, when my relatives sent me the tape of Neil Diamond Moods, and I was hooked ever since.
Well, we're on the set of Moods right now, so...
Yeah, and I had never even heard of Neil Diamond. And I even asked my relative, I love the tape, but who was Neil Diamond? And she kind of explained it, and then she knew I would enjoy it, even she hates Neil Diamond.
How many records of his do you have in your collection at home?
I never counted, but between the CDs and between the records, it's a lot. At least 10, I'm thinking.
Wow, well, Neil Diamond would appreciate that.
Yeah, or more with the CDs. I'd actually have to count, and including into some of the other. I have a ton of them because.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, there's old record sales and that kind of thing that have gotten dirt cheap, you know.
Right.
Just if it's used or something, it's like, oh, this is great, and because I love Neil Diamond, hey, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take this one, I haven't heard this one, I haven't heard this one.
Well, they announced on the world news that he was retiring. I'm going to be watching that.
What year, when did you hear this on the world news?
Oh, this was recently, like within the last several months.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, he's... after 50 years of concerts, it's time.
Yeah. I think it's more than 10 albums I have between the records and the tapes. I have a couple of tapes of his and the CDs I have.
Well, also, I think health reasons too.
Oh, yeah.
He's getting older and that sort of thing. That might have something to do with it.
Definitely it does.
But, what a voice he had.
Yeah. And just all his beautiful songs.
Yeah.
And he even wrote a collection of love songs.
Yeah.
He had a lot of love songs, and he had one that was just haunting. Maybe I should listen to Neil Diamond when I get home. And it wasn't blasphemous against Jesus. It was more poetry, something. And you are another, and he was talking about a woman he had, and something about tangerines. And Jesus was a sailor when he walked on the water, but his heart was broken by something or another, or something. I don't quite get it.
Okay.
But something about the lighthouse.
Well, I can see the poetry.
Yeah.
You know, I can see the poetry there. You know.
And then it ended with the most beautiful violin orchestra piece. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, give me big goosebumps.
I'm going to play some. If you know this song here. Recognize it?
I've heard it, and I don't remember it. It's on the tip of my...
Love is Blue.
Was that one of Neil Diamond's songs?
I don't know, he may have sang in this career, but it's called Love is Blue. He just made me think of that all of a sudden.
Huh.
I'll do it again.
Oh, it's an easy listening song. Yeah, I think I've heard it on easy listening stations. Yes, of course. That's where I heard it.
Yeah, Love is Blue.
Yeah. He also made another silly song. You're so sweet, horse flies are hanging around your face. He was talking about his girlfriend. You're so sweet, horse flies keep hanging around your face. The Kentucky whiskey or something, but it's on something or another. You're the only one for me. I can't remember how it was, but you're so sweet. Horse flies keep hanging around your face. Something or another, the whiskey or the something or another. Amazing. He even wrote a tribute to wine, Crackling Rosie.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, Crackling Rosie, get on board. We've got all-nighters, something to make the world right, you know. And store-bought woman, it's about wine and champagne.
You made me think of this song too. You were talking about this is called My Old Kentucky Home. Mm-hmm. They play it during the Kentucky Derby, the horse race every year. I'll play for it.
There is a cover band they have of Neil Diamond, Cherry Cherry. They've came a couple of times in concert to Missoula. I have a poster of them at home, even a signed one from the singer. Really liked me. To Emmett, you rule. I have it in my bedroom. It's really cool. If they're a cover band of a younger Neil Diamond looking, and a cover band of all his work, like Cherry Cherry and others. It's just great. And Sweet Caroline. Man, that's a great time. I had a great time.
Cool.
Twice I came.
And here's the middle part of this song. Kentucky Home.
Yep.
Have you ever watched any of the horse races on television?
No, I never did.
Well, I don't necessarily. I'm not going to say it's wrong. The gambling aspect of it.
Oh yeah.
I like watching those horses run. You know, they only run. They do it like once a year, and it runs like a mile. In like 3 minutes or something. Because they're horses, so they're really big. It's just amazing to watch those animals run that quick around that track.
Yeah.
So,
I've never been into horse racing. Kind of bores me. Just seeing horses run.
It's just a different type of sport.
Yeah.
It's not like something they do all the time. It's only once a year for like about an hour.
Yeah.
And the horses don't run for an hour because most of it is just the interviews.
Oh yeah.
And the people who own the horses walking up to the stable before they let them horses loose. They have that trumpet player doing that little fanfare, and then when that gate opens, those horses run out of there like lightning speed. There's always this one horse that's like outrunning the whole bunch of horses. He runs around that track like about like 3 minutes or something like that, and they usually win like $1 million. The jockey and the owner. I just like that aspect of it, and I like just watching how fast those animals are.
Yeah.
They're really fast.
Oh, they are.
I mean, and then they have like 3 of those. They have the Kentucky Derby. They have what's called the Preakness, and there's one other event. It's like almost back to back. 3 of them like within about 2 or 3 weeks or something like that. But the Kentucky Derby is probably the most fun to watch.
Huh. It's all right. It's not great.
Well, no. I mean, you probably couldn't compare it to, say, gymnastics or something. Yeah, I like just watching those animals run. And it's kind of fun because they have a tradition where the ladies wear those hats, you know, when they wear dresses and stuff, and they're just having fun. And if it's a nice sunny day, they're like saying "Thank you, God," and they're about to win $1 million while their horse runs around there. Now I know there's the betting side, and I don't want to necessarily go there, but it's kind of fun to watch. Watch it, to me. And
I guess I'm just not into sports. I would much rather sit with a nice glass of port wine or nice Moscato and listen to Neil Diamond's moods rather than watch sports or football, you know.
Well, you know, I was never really into football either.
Or any sports, basketball, whatever.
My sports, I know that baseball, basketball,
Boring.
and football are
Soccer,
the main sports. They're the main sports.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who make a living at it. They escape, tough childhoods, and I understand that aspect of it. But me personally, I like gymnastics.
Yeah, gym.
I've always liked that, and figure skating. I've always liked those kind
Not
of.
in the. It's just boring.
Yeah.
It's just. I liked football as a kid because I just like embedding in my own mind the teams and seeing the play-by-play option and seeing which team had a more cooler name, the Steelers or the Oilers or something. But I just kind of grew out of it. I just, I even played football with friends of mine occasionally. I've done that for football playing with friends of mine occasionally. I don't mind that. But I'm just not interested in Monday Night Football or anything, all that competition.
Yeah.
With me, I like a sedentary life where I can listen to Gordon Lightfoot and Neil Diamond and have some wine and some beer and just enjoy watching the flowers grow, enjoy a backyard and just the sunshine. That's my idea. Instead of all that macho stuff.
Well, that was the kind of the problem I had with some of those sports. It was like male testosterone just flexing on the field, and that just didn't appeal to me.
Nor do I.
But, I think you have to have a certain amount of physical strength when you're doing gymnastics, especially when
that's
you
true.
do like the horse, or you're doing those tumbling on the mats. You know how they can stand on their hands and stuff like that. I don't think a football player could stand on his hands, walking on his hands upside down or anything like that. Just stuff like that. But it just depends on preference.
Yeah, I'm not into competition either. I'm not a competitive person.
I just think it depends, but I prefer figure skating and gymnastics.
Yeah,
and
I don't
track.
even like
I
that.
love track too.
Yeah,
Watch it.
again, too much competition. Just I love some masculine things like Conan the Barbarian and the Sword and the Sorcerer, like we were talking about really violent movies.
We were on the set of
Conan the Barbarian,
if I remember that right, on a recent
yeah,
show.
and Battlestar Galactica. I like that, so I like some masculine stuff, and I like beer, and I like punk rock and heavy metal. But the big competition where you're seeing people compete, I'm just not a competitive person,
There's your Battlestar.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just not a competitive person. I'm more of a sedentary person who prefers books and music and science fiction.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, because
Exactly.
the Lord gives everybody their whatever their interest or whatever.
And fine food.
Yeah.
That kind of love fine food. If I ever get the money, if I love fine food and fine dining.
Now, and I like watching golf too.
Yeah, golf is okay.
But I mean, if I had to choose those sports between football and so on,
If I had to choose a sport, it would be golf. At least you're on a beautiful green, and it's more sedentary.
And that's
more
true.
relaxed.
That's true.
You always, though, however, have to address the ball. Hello, ball. Every time we're playing golf, I say, time to address the ball. Hello, ball. Or if it got lost, like in, say, in a rain puddle, I say, well, we got to give it a burial at season. As a matter of fact, in high school, I had to take PE, Remember PE classes we had to take? I never liked PE.
I wasn't a fan of that either, to be honest with you.
Nor was I. But I would always, even during soccer and some of those old things, I would have those old jokes. Before kicking the soccer ball, I said, we have to address the ball. Hello, ball. And I said, if it landed in a puddle, we gotta have a burial at sea. One of the kids said, I can't believe how old his jokes are. I almost called him Emmett, my grandfather. I didn't mind.
You got me playing the Peer Gynt Suite while I was talking. The Peer Gynt Suite is orchestral song that has four movements. Or 4 different songs, I should say, is the way to describe it. It's called the Peer Gynt Suite. But
I thought it was called In the Hall of the Mountain King.
that's the name of the song. That's one of the movements. There's
Okay.
4 movements.
Let's see.
That was In the Hall of the Mountain King. But, you just had made me think of that. Let's talk about that for a second. The first one, the morning song, goes something like this. You'll recognize it.
That's been on commercials for yuppie things such as cars or business advertisement or flying the friendly skies. We fly the friendly
that's
skies.
from the Peer Gynt Suite. That is called Morning Song.
Yeah.
And the second song goes something like this. It goes something like this. Hold on. Something like this. Recognize it?
Nope.
Well, I don't know how to play that.
Yeah,
anyway.
some of those old classical
But
things I
that's
don't
called-
like.
that is
I love
called-
Beethoven, but no, yeah.
That's called the Anitra's dance, and then the third one is called Asa's funeral, and it goes something like this. You may recognize it. You recognize it?
Nope. I do. Ace's funeral, you said?
Yeah, Asa's funeral.
This? Oh, I remember
Yeah,
that.
that's
It was
where-
on one of the Peanuts cartoons
Yeah,
where.
that is the third movement, and then the fourth one is the end of Hall of the Mountain King.
Yeah,
This is the fourth one.
yeah, I remember that because
Yeah, Ace's funeral.
Snoopy was trying to be a World War I ace or
Right,
something, and then he heard the Ace's funeral, started crying. I remember, and then
Yeah,
one
that
of
is
those.
called- yeah, all four of those songs are in the Peer Gynt suite. is what it is.
Interesting.
So, just a piece of history,
Yeah.
classical history trivia for you.
Yeah, I couldn't stand PE. I would always cut up in PE and act as
Yeah.
bizarre as I possibly could.
Well, you know, when I was in high school,
I hated PE.
we had a thing where you had to square dance. That was part of the PE class.
No, I'm glad they didn't have that for me. I would have
But see,
died.
we had a coach that said, if you guys don't want to get out there and square dance, we're going to make you run for the next hour. And there were always a handful of stoners and stuff that just didn't want to square dance, so they'd have to physically do exercises and run for a whole hour, while the rest of us were in there square dancing.
I think I would have chosen the other.
Do-si-do, yeah.
I think I would have chosen running for an hour.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, we had coaches that when they'd run you, because we had a big old track out there in high school where I was at. Oh.
I would always get A's in PE forever, even though I didn't do a very good job.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't really a fan of PE.
I hated PE.
That's what I don't even know if they have that anymore, but
Thankfully, mercifully, I think a lot of people have canceled PE, and I'm glad.
yeah.
I know a lot of people complain with the childhood obesity, but PE was so stupid and so dumb. If you don't like sports, why bother? It's just to make you athletic and get you to exercise. I think that's a personal issue that you should do on your own. You shouldn't be
Yeah.
made to exercise
But, you know,
in school.
you and I come up in an era where it was just mandatory.
I know, it's terrible. If you wanted to graduate and get out of
You had
school.
to take that, yeah. You had to do that.
But there was one funny thing in PE that I just enjoyed. It was in Lewiston, Idaho. And it had me roaring with laughter. The only thing I liked about PE, we were playing soccer in Lewiston, Idaho. The soccer ball kept going into the street where the cars were going back and forth and driving. They had almost got a squish, and I asked one of the kids, what would happen if the soccer ball got run over? And he said it would pop! And I could imagine having to play soccer with a squish ball. I almost died laughing. Oh, when we were in PE in Missoula, a friend of mine and another friend of his, he made me laugh. He was always the class clown. I'm not even going to mention his name, but it was wonderful. When we were playing tennis, he didn't play tennis.
Okay, what did he play?
Death ball. Death ball. You see, he pretended he was an alien from another planet called Yopes. He was they were the eyes, just one eye, and they talked like this, and and they would go and hit the ball as hard as they could across the net. Oh, Ray! You better win this one, Johnny, or all this on yo. And even, when we were, preparing in the shower, remember, we were just getting ready to go back to class. They were hitting each other with this string, saying, "It's all Yopes, flail of death." That made me laugh so hard that it helped me survive PE. And they were doing that whole, just hilarious. Finally, somebody, and I would always pretend that the tennis rackets were laser guns. So I'd go,
Really? Okay.
and I would always do that. Lasers. During flag football, Do you remember flag football?
Yeah, I like, I preferred that better than I did regular tackle football.
Same here, much better. Because you could pretend that those flags that were attached to you were power converters and you were a robot.
In fact, when I was in high school, we played a lot of flag football to keep people from getting hurt.
And that's fine by me.
Yeah, they had these little flags that stuck onto these belts that we had. And that's how we did it.
But if one was taken, I'd say, oh, I'm losing power. And they were both taken from me. I'd collapse because I was robot lost energy. And they would, and if I had both of them on, I am energized. I would do anything to make PE a joke because I couldn't stand PE. Did you ever have to play badminton?
No, but there was a game we did play when I was in high school on Fridays. Yeah. It was called Splatterball. I don't know if you've ever heard of that or not.
No.
Well, see, what it was is they would line up something like 10 volleyballs in the middle of the gym, and the freshmen and the seniors would be on this side of the gym, and the sophomores and the juniors would be on the other side. And when the coach would blow the whistle, you run up and grab a volleyball, and you run to a certain line and just throw it like a war, trying to pick off your opponent. It was fun.
Not my kind of thing.
No, it was like because the seniors were always so tall they could grab the volleyball with one hand. And they would put a curve spin or try to hit you with it. But see, the team that had the most players at the end won the game because if you got hit, you didn't get out.
Yeah, I would have played it like we were. They were alien lasers.
It was like
and
a war.
Them.
It was a fun little war. Yeah, it was like a fun little war, and it was fun because there would always be like 2 or 3 guys left against 10 guys on the opposing side. So can you imagine 10 guys with a volleyball coming after you? Yeah.
In badminton, you had a badminton racket and had this little cup with a bird. It called it the bird. They called it the birdie, and you'd have to, kind of similar to tennis. But I would always try to pretend to feed the bird. We would have to rotate positions. So when the coach said rotate, I would always rotate like this.
Well, what about tetherball? Did you ever play tetherball?
No, I don't remember tetherball.
They had this tiny little pole.
I would rotate like this.
Right. Tetherball was a game where they had this big pole, and there was a string on the top of it with a volleyball, and you just took it and hit it around the...
Vaguely.
Yeah.
But I'm just grateful I'm out of school and no more PE and no more sports for me. I am grateful that as an adult, now I'm 51, I can just sit, drink my wine, listen to Neil Diamond and Gordon Lightfoot on a summer sunny day in my apartment and watch the world go by. That's my idea.
Yeah, when you get older, that sounds like something I would want to do too.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I'm out of high school. I was not really a fan of high school.
Nor was I. Or school, period.
Yeah, I don't have that authority, but if I had the authority, I would just have people homeschool their kids.
Same here.
I would, but...
Same here. Or just make it optional. You don't even have to send your kids to school. But yeah, I'm all for homeschooling. I would homeschool my children.
Yeah, I would too. I'll never have to worry about it because I don't have children, but if I did, I would prefer
Same here, same here.
And I wish I could have been homeschooled when I was in school.
Same here.
It would have saved me a lot of headaches and trials.
Definitely. Same here. Definitely.
Bullying issues.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All the other issues that are associated with high school.
Oh, absolutely. Or even junior high or elementary, yeah.
I wasn't a fan of either one.
Ironically, I got bullied less in high school than I did in elementary. Kind of ironic.
Yeah. I got picked on a lot when I was in high school.
Oh, yeah, I know. I still did.
I still did. About my friend Sherman that was a martial arts expert. He was my bodyguard when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Because I was so small in high school. Anybody picked on me, boy, they felt
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He was a skilled martial arts expert, too. Not one of those go-to-your karate school around the block.
Yeah.
He was trained in that. Like Kwai King, Kung Fu. He was one of those kind of martial arts guy.
I had to train in the martial arts for a while myself so I could learn to defend myself. I took Taekwondo and Aikido for that reason, to learn to defend myself. I only got a yellow belt. I'm no expert, and I've had some private lessons with some other people, but I never cared to put it on as, let's say, get a black belt and make that my bread and butter or way of life, but I have enough to defend myself.
That's something you have to do all the time.
Yeah, and that's just not for me, but I have enough. But it was for those reasons. I think homeschooling would be better, and I never wanted to go to college either for that same. Once I was out of school, I was out of school, and I felt it was like being liberated from prison.
Yeah.
Even my parents, just one of my parents just said, hey man, I felt bad for you because when you graduated, or it was the last day of school or whatever, you looked like you were getting out of prison, And it's true. My face was lit up like I was getting out of prison into the real world, or becoming free, just like a new start, almost like a new beginning for me, getting out of high school. My last day of school, and it's like, now I'm free. I'm out of that prison, that horrible nightmare called school. Horrible.
I wasn't a big fan of school.
Yeah, and graduating, it's like it's over. I can start living now, or something. Just even a lot of punk rock songs, or a few have been against school, like. The Sex Pistols wrote, "Schools are prisons," or "Revolution in the Classroom," which are my two favorite punk rock songs. That kind of thing, against the evils of school.
Yeah.
When I did, my second show of The Awful Truth About Society, like 23 years ago, that was the evils of work and school systems, and I just screamed all about the evils of school and public schools.
Public school, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Public school.
Well,
And I've often in my show condemned the schools and what's going on in the schools.
I understand that, and I can see why. I can see that too. But we live in a culture where they have that mandatory, they're forcing you to have to take your children to school.
It's just horrible.
Yeah, I agree. I'd rather homeschool. So if I ever do have children, that's most likely what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to know how to read and write and have
I
some
understand,
history and some
yeah,
other, but
yeah.
otherwise, being forced at a desk, obey the teacher, all those student issues and all the other issues where you don't really feel like you have a life, and all the homework and the grades and the conformity and blah, blah, blah. I just couldn't stand it.
And this has gone by so quick. We've got about 10 minutes left. And this is just such a cool thing to talk about all these things.
Yep.
Because the fun thing about this show is every time when you and I get to talk, time goes by real fast.
It does.
It really does. And I appreciate you taking time to do show 201.
Oh, certainly.
By the way, our 200 show was over an hour. It was like an hour and a half. So Lori had to reschedule it instead of the regular because of the extension.
I thought it was an hour.
No, we were on there for an hour and 10 minutes, hour and a half.
An hour and a half on that 200th episode?
That's correct.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was an hour and a half. So it'll be on in June.
All right.
Lori had to air at a certain time because we exceeded the normal.
I did not know that.
Because of the other programs that normally come on after.
Yeah, I didn't even know we were on. That's the longest one we've ever done, I think.
Well, I just told Lori, actually I had 6 hours recording time. Remember that?
I remember, and I wondered how you were going to do all that because I had to leave early.
I wasn't going to be 6 hours at cafe.
Yeah.
So. But we were able to squeeze all that I wanted within an hour and a half with all those.
I remember because I had to
the young
come
kids
early
came in after you left and stuff like that. So I was able to get them all on there. Did you get that episode? That 200?
No, I didn't. I had to leave. I can't remember what I was doing. I had to do something, and I don't remember what it was.
Right, well, I'll have to make you a copy eventually. But it turned out.
That's the one where you had the
nice.
pizza and the cake.
Yeah, and it was fun. So we had a blast. But I was happy with it. And 200, well, this is 201 now. For the TV audience, this is our 201st episode.
Yeah.
Asaph Cafe.
Hey, maybe I cannot have wine on the set. You cannot have wine on the set. But with this Neil Diamond moods, if you could play another Neil Diamond song.
Oh, gosh, okay. Let's see. I'm going to have to repeat one because I can't think. I'll
Yeah.
just do it again.
And I can pretend that I'm pouring some white wine, Moscato wine in, and I'm going to have some pretend wine while I enjoy it. This is something I like to do at home. Oh, good Moscato wine. It's sweet. I also like red wine. Now maybe I could have a little port and put the port in, and maybe, let's see, have just a little bit of tonic water as a seltzer, and continue to enjoy, the Neil Diamond or another. Do you have any other Neil Diamond songs?
I don't know very many of his songs as far as that was Song Sung Blue, and let's do Sweet Caroline again.
Yes. Good port wine. Hey, on the cafe, you can even pretend, while I cannot have real alcohol in the set because they don't allow alcohol, I can pretend. Is it all right if I pretend to drink wine?
Sure.
This is what I like to do at home. Sometimes, put on Neil Diamond like this, or Gordon Lightfoot, or they're easy listening. Have a glass of wine and just enjoy myself and watching, the outdoors and the sunshine, whatever.
Okay.
I like to smell the wine too, especially if it's a new one I haven't done. Hey, what do you think, everyone? I drank pretend Moscato wine and some port while listening to Neil Diamond. That's what I like to do at home. Isn't that exciting? We did it on the cafe. I wonder what people will think of that.
Find out when we repost it. I'm going to put it on the correct.
Yeah,
Here's the conclusion.
Neil Diamond, well, if you ever see this show, I don't know if you ever will.
You never know.
Yeah, my name's Emmett. I love your music. I have a lot of your records, and I often do just that. I love Gordon Lightfoot.
If Neil Diamond ever sees this show, I'm sure he'll
Yeah, drink wine and listen to your wonderful music. Or Cracklin' Rosie, get on board, yep.
Yeah, he was very blessed with that voice of his.
Incredible.
Yeah, he was very, very blessed. And I'm sure he knows that, you know. And
I think
he left the world a lot of beautiful music, joy, and everything.
Yeah.
Neil Diamond.
And I wonder if he wasn't a Christian at some point.
I don't know. That's something.
Because didn't you say that Neil Diamond one time prayed or had a miracle?
Oh, I remember. Yeah, that'd be a good way to end this.
Yes.
I was watching the world news, and there was a hurricane that swept through this neighborhood and destroyed all the houses in that entire neighborhood. And they were having a prayer meeting.
Yes.
And in that prayer meeting, Neil Diamond was sitting in the audience, but nobody recognized him because everybody was focused on the prayer and, the devastation of losing their homes. Now, pictures were taken, but they didn't show it till later. Neil Diamond he happened to be sitting in that audience. And what was interesting about it was I had heard, I guess it was this organization that's like an atheist organization. There is no God, there's no prayer. And so they were talking about that, and then they were talking about this story. Neil Diamond happened to be sitting in the audience. He does a concert, he raises something like $1 million, and he went back to that neighborhood and restored all those houses.
Whoa.
And then the people that got their homes back realized it was Neil Diamond that was in the initial prayer meeting. And where I'm going with that story is, it's interesting that this so-called atheist group was saying there was no prayer, no God, yet there's a famous guy in a prayer meeting, and he does a concert. He built he had all the homes built in that whole neighborhood. So whenever Neil Diamond shows up in that part of that world, hey, you can stay in my home, Mr. Diamond. You can stay in my home, because he built the whole neighborhood. Not talking one or two houses, but the whole neighborhood. But see where I'm going with that is there's power in prayer.
Exactly. You mean he was at a prayer meeting? Neil Diamond at a Christian prayer meeting.
Yeah, it was. Well, it had to have been. I mean, the whole neighborhood was wiped out.
That's a good point.
These people were homeless, and they were taking pictures, and they had like chairs, like in a church setting or a wedding or something. There was probably hundreds of people there. I don't know. But anyway, Neil Diamond was in that audience, and nobody recognized him. Like I said, because the devastation of the home. Even though pictures were taken, nobody realized it. So after Neil Diamond built the houses, they went back to those old photographs and looked, and they realized that Neil Diamond was in that prayer meeting, and that he did this concert and restored all their homes. What a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah.
And it silenced that atheist group that was going around saying there wasn't no God, no prayer and stuff. How do you explain that there's a famous person sitting in a prayer meeting, unobserved? He wasn't seeking no attention for him. He just happened to be sitting there observing, watching his prayers. And he restored the entire neighborhood.
Exactly.
So it was something like 20 houses or something like that. I don't know. It was like this whole neighborhood he restored. So anytime he goes to that part of the neighborhood, he can stay in any one of those homes as a guest. Because he restored that. And that's a beautiful thing that he did.
Well, often God works with his divine providence with human beings and everything. It was
that he did. And when I saw that on the World News, he really won me with that.
Definitely.
He did. So, Mr. Diamond, if you ever see that or remember that incident, we're talking about it.
Yeah.
And the power of prayer.
It kind of, for some reason, reminds me of a sermon I heard at church, maybe in Christian radio or something I read in a Catholic book or article or devotional. There was this person who was stranded on an island and prayed to God that he'd be rescued from the island. I don't know if this is a true story or not, but then God sent him a plane and a big ship and a boat and some other things, and he never went on. And then he complained to God, God, you didn't hear my prayers. You didn't answer my prayers. You didn't come rescue me. And then God said, I sent you a plane. I sent you a boat, a bigger boat, everything. Of course,
I think where that story is going, sometimes God will do something that is so miraculous you don't have to do anything. But there are times when you do have to do something.
Exactly.
Like in the case of this guy here, all he had to do was just jump on that boat.
Exactly.
And the funny thing about God, you never know what God's going to do.
Exactly.
Because He is the Lord. He's the sovereign Lord. So sometimes you have to respond. That's where faith comes in. And sometimes you don't have to.
And that's where Neil Diamond came in. I don't want Neil Diamond to get a big hit or anything, but he was used by divine providence to rebuild that neighborhood.
I just thought that was just so
amazing,
coincidental, because he just happened to be there. But what struck me about that story was because those atheists were blasting the world.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was this organization. They were going around here telling people there was no God, no prayer, no nothing.
Yeah.
And I wrote them an email too after this thing with Neil Diamond. What he did, I said, "You guys going around here talking about there ain't no prayer. Now, how do you explain the audience of this and doing a concert and not being recognized or anything and doing this concert and restoring no houses? How do you explain that?" They never wrote me back.
No, of course they can't. They have no answer.
But no, there is a God.
Definitely.
And there is power in prayer.
Yep.
Prayer works.
Absolutely.
And I know that, and God is not I want to stress this too, God is not some genie in a bottle. You
exactly.
and He just does what you
exactly.
No. The Bible says you make your request known to God, and God will determine and decide what He's going to do according to His will. And if you ask anything according to God's will, you're going to get it.
Exactly.
That's what
exactly. That's what it means. And it doesn't mean, I know Jesus said, anything you ask of me in my name, I will do.
Well, people, they misquote that because, okay, if you ask anything in my name, well, God, I'll take a Cadillac and a...
Exactly. I was going to say that.
No,
exactly. $1 million. Yeah,
no,
exactly.
No. It has to be in accordance to what
the will
of God.
Exactly.
And God's not likely to give you a Cadillac if you ask for it.
Yeah, just because you want $1 million or 10 million, Yeah,
There's only one person in the Bible that asked for wealth and got it.
Yeah.
That was Jabez. But when you read that story, his heart was pure. His heart was right, because before he asked for those things, this is in the book of Chronicles, I believe. Chronicles chapter, I think it's chapter 4. It says that, that the Lord would bless my territory. Meaning wealth and that sort of thing. Bless my territory, but keep me from evil.
Yes.
That it might not hurt me. And in this case, God granted his request.
Yeah.
But that's not likely to happen with everybody.
Exactly.
So if we go around here asking for $1 million, you're not likely to get it.
Exactly.
But something like, keeping away from evil.
Yeah, keeping away from sin, keeping away from danger.
You have a financial need.
Exactly, a financial need, absolutely.
You can take those matters to God in prayer, and stuff. So, where I'm going with this, because we're out of time, prayer works.
Exactly.
It really does.
Yep.
And, I want to get a good thought. It works. I'll just say
exactly.
Yeah, it works. It really works. And you'd be surprised what you can say to God in prayer. You can pray about anything.
Exactly. Even you love Neil Diamond and Born Life.
I
love it. Yeah, exactly.
Because I do it all the time.
Same here. Yep.
And then you just have to sit back and let God do whatever it is God's going to do.
Exactly.
Sometimes God will give you exactly what you ask for.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes He may give you something you didn't ask for that might end up being better. Stuff like that. So, but maybe one day we'll talk about prayer on a future cafe.
Yeah.
I can tell you some stories of some stuff I prayed that had.
Oh, yeah.
Like this lapel pin that I wear that says Jesus first. It's got that little clip on the back.
Yeah.
And one day I was at home practicing the piano and the clip fell off. And I've got that carpet.
Yes.
I was like feeling the carpet everywhere, and I couldn't find it. I was like, oh, darn. And if I was going to, vacuum it, then it might get sucked up. So I prayed a prayer. I said, God, please help me find that clip. As soon as I prayed that prayer, I took 2 steps, and I stepped on something sharp. And when I looked under my foot, there was my clip.
Yep.
On that carpet.
Yep.
That was a true story. That actually happened. Now, stuff like that don't always happen, but...
Yeah.
But, there's been a lot of prayers in my lifetime
Oh,
that
yeah.
I've prayed that have come to pass.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot that hasn't come to pass.
Same here, same here.
But God is still good. He's
Exactly.
still God, and He answers prayer. And so I guess the moral of the story is pray.
Right.
Pray.
Uh-huh.
And on that note, we're going to pray ourselves out of here. I am Asaph Adonai, and Emmett and I are on the set of a Neil Diamond album.
Yep.
And I think this is the perfect person for episode 201.
Yep.
Neil Diamond, our little tribute, and talking about
Yeah,
prayer. Any final words you want to say before we disappear?
Yeah, well, let's see. A surreal joke is very fascinating. There were these two washing machines, and they were splashing around in a coffee oven. Very fascinating. Then this one dryer came along and said, "Oh, I can't see around that," so he went to the other side of the room and started screaming about the algebraic equations. Ha ha ha!
I'm Asaph Adonai, your host, and affectionately on my left, our aging rocker Emmett. So, thanks, Mr.
Yep.
Diamond, for sitting in with us. Thank TV audience for watching this cafe here. So until our next show, Maranatha. Well, make yourself at
Yep.
home, and I'll shut everything down. You can just move.
Wonderful.